What's up, Earth's mightiest subscribers? It's Blur Without Fear. Welcome back to the channel. Alright, today's video, we are going to be talking about the Sandman story arc, Season of Mist, by Neil Gaiman and Mike Dringenberg, which makes up volume 4 of the series, issues number 21 through 28. More specifically, we're going to be discussing why Sandman condemned the love of his life to hell.
You can't see me, you Stevie, wondering how I reach more evolutions than Evie and make it look easy.
Now, I want to say right now, potential spoilers for anything that can and very likely will happen if and when we get Sandman Season 2. So you have been warned, I'm gonna probably spoil the out of what's coming. So one of the first things to bring up here is that the character of Nada is a reference to the novel Nada the Lily by H. Rider Haggard, yet another tragic love story that takes place during the time of Shaka Zulu. However, our Nada, who first appeared in Sandman number 4 in 1989, existed over 10,000 years ago. And she was the queen of the first city of men in the DC Comics universe, an African city where the Sandman was worshipped as the entity Kaikul. And yes, I am pronouncing it correctly. That is how it's pronounced in the audible version of the Sandman, and is even confirmed by Neil Gaiman himself, so y'all can go suck it. Y'all like to come into the comments and be like, man, Blur's mispronounced stuff. You mispronounced this, mispronounced that. No, you mispronounced it. But anyway, if you were wondering why the Sandman was black during this particular point in time, it's actually because the Sandman can look however he wants. That said, while the Sandman is typically a tall, skinny man with unruly hair, skin as pale as snow, and eyes literally made of jet black shadow, it really all comes down to how people perceive him. We see in Sandman issue number 5, when Dream encounters Justice League member Martian Manhunter sees him as something entirely different as well. He actually perceives Dream as this giant head wreathed in flame that looks almost like a demonic black skull. Meanwhile, while Dream is just standing there, he looks the way he always looks. We even see this in Sandman number 4 when he encounters Nada in hell, and when she sees him, she doesn't see Dream, she sees Kaikul. Back 10,000 years ago, the African nations that revered Kaikul, that's just how they saw him. Now, Nada fell in love with Dream during this time period, that 10,000 years ago, and Dream was madly in love with her, probably more than he'd ever been with any mortal being in his entire existence. But as the mortals who fall in love with the Endless, they are fated to meet a tragic end, and Nada's kingdom was destroyed, and knowing that her love for Dream was very likely the reason why all of this came to be, she committed suicide. Now, that said, Nada didn't necessarily want to lose Dream though. Within the realm of the dreaming, they were still able to communicate. As we have seen throughout the course of Sandman comics, ghosts can exist within the dreaming, even though they're not necessarily supposed to. At least not without Dream's permission. And Nada offered to Dream that he could just give it all up. Give up being one of the Endless, give up his station as the King of Dreams and his overseeing of the dreaming itself, but Dream chose to not give it up. Surprisingly to Nada, he said no. He wanted to focus on his responsibilities. He knew he couldn't just walk away from it because he knew what would happen if he walked away. The same thing that happened when he was captured by Roderick Burgess for 75 plus years. The sleepy sickness would take over, and there would be people who would be either unable to go to sleep entirely, there would be people who would never wake up from the sleep that they were going through, and there would also be people who, regardless of whether they could sleep or not, would never be able to dream. Not to mention the detriment it would have on all of the other entities within the dreaming itself. So he refused her. And Dream, who actually has the power to bring people back from the dead, at least in his own way, he offered to turn Nada into a goddess of the dreaming. That way, she could live forever. They could be together forever and maintain the relationship for time on infinite. But much to Dream's surprise, she too said no. And Dream took this as an insult, a slap in the face to what he felt for her. And with Dream's pride wounded, he had her condemned to hell. And just like that, Nada was tortured in hell for 10,000 years. When we see her in hell in Sandman number 4, as Dream is attempting to get his helmet back, you can tell she thought that he was there to free her. But as he admits, he hadn't quite forgiven her yet. It actually wouldn't be until Sandman number 21, when Death, Dream's older sister, ridiculed him, calling him out for being a petulant child about the ending of his relationship with Nada and not recognizing that she had her own reasons for doing what she did, knowing that if they stayed together, more ruin would come to anyone around her and to any place that she called home. And Dream himself would also suffer losses unimaginable as well, even for one of the Endless. And even noting that when Desire criticized Dream for how he treated Nada, even they were right about how wrong Dream was to condemn her to hell. This would spur Dream to attempt to re-enter hell once again, this time to save the woman that he loved for 10,000 years, fighting off attempts on his life and the throne of hell, chiefly from the demon Azazel, who had taken capture of Nada's soul when Lucifer freed all the tortured souls in hell before Dream could arrive. Dream had finally gotten the chance to tell Nada that he forgave her and asked her for her forgiveness in turn, and while it seemed like you would imagine Nada would hold some kind of fervent grudge against Dream, that actually wasn't the case. Yeah, she was still very angry with him because 10,000 years is a long time to spend in hell, but she still loved him. But neither of them knew where their relationship could go from here, because once again, just as before, Dream was not willing to give up his station as one of the Endless, and Nada wasn't willing to become a goddess, for fear that tragedy would strike them both down just the same as it did before with Nada's city. Dream would later give her a new chance at life in Sandman number 28, where he would have her soul transformed into a newborn baby that at that moment was born to an expecting couple in Hong Kong, even going to her while she's a child, letting her know that she was always welcome within the dreaming and that they would one day meet again. This is all stuff that will likely come to pass if and when Sandman Season 2 comes back to Netflix. That said, if you want to check out this entire story, I highly advise it. It's mostly issues of Sandman number 21 through 28. And in the meantime, hit that subscribe button and make sure you turn on all notifications so that way you'll know when my next Sandman video drops, where I'll be breaking down how, and more importantly, why Sandman's Lucifer tricked Dream into becoming the Lord of Hell. Also, let me know what you thought about Sandman Season 1, and what do you think of the Sandman series as a whole? Keep it plus ultra, and sound off in the comments.